All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION this hour, where the United Nations has warned that North Korea's food crisis could worsen. Now, the world body has said that North Korea could face a very harsh and a lean period by as early as next month. The United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization has said that North Korea is facing a food shortage of nearly about 806,000 tons this year. To tackle the crisis, North Korea is also planning to import food products. However, the United Nations food body has said that imports would not be enough to feed the entire population of North Korea. Now, the impoverished country has been facing chronic food shortages. The situation has been made worse by floods and the coronavirus pandemic. While the floods have destroyed crops, COVID-19 pandemic has led to a reduction in the number of imports. North Korea's grain production has fallen by almost about 5%. The prices of food products have also gone up substantially, so much so that a packet of coffee now costs almost over $100 in North Korea. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has held several important meetings on this crisis. Kim has warned people to remain prepared for the worst ever situation. Several officials have also been replaced as the country is now trying to take steps to avert a nationwide famine. All right, now to give us more insights in terms of what's exactly happening in North Korea, we're joined in by our correspondent Richard Kimber. Thank you very much indeed, Richard, for joining us on this broadcast on WION. Let me begin by asking you, how bad is the situation in North Korea really in terms of food shortages?
Well, the United Nations is very concerned. It says that it's likely to miss by around 1 million tonnes its average annual grain output because, as you mentioned, there have been severe summer floods last year, and crucially, since January of this year, Pyongyang has closed its borders with the rest of the world in an effort, it says, to try and prevent any spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, in addition to food imports from China, which is really North Korea's only donor these days, it also relies on China for fertilizer and for fuel. Of course, that being essential to try and kick-start a recovery in that domestic food production. So the United Nations is worried that without simply food donations and without fuel and fertilizer coming through from China, and lastly, without a heavier presence of non-governmental aid agencies operating in North Korea, all of whom have effectively had to leave since January because of the shutdown of the border there, there's really no means of safely monitoring the situation there, and therefore they're seriously concerned that without more international attention in the country, there could be another widespread famine.
So, from the reports that are coming in, it is being said that the food shortages could be very acute by as early as next month. Does North Korea have any kind of contingency plan at all? Because its population is about 25 million people, to try and address the issue of food shortages, which could hit North Korea in 4 weeks.
Well, it's done two things. First of all, it's resumed maritime trade with China rather than allowing its land border to be opened up. So there has been some flow of those vital staples coming through by boat, but it's simply not enough, say these food agencies, to support that 25 million population. The other thing that North Koreans officials have been trying to press the military to do is to release surplus grain supplies that are held in storage in reserve for crisis times like this. But there are reports in South Korea that this is causing tensions between the Communist Party in North Korea and its military operators, because the military is reluctant to release some of those grain supplies at below market rates because they simply don't have enough to support the military itself. And they've been allegedly trying to bring in more food supplies against quarantine bans from China. So there's not just a food shortage taking place, but because of those increasing prices, because of the lack of food supply, it's also causing potential division between the authorities that are effectively managing North Korea's operations.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Richard Kimber, for joining us and getting us all those updates there. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.